أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الحمد لله والحمد حقه كما يستحقه حمدا كثيرا. وأعوذ به من شر نفسي إن النفس لأمارة بالسوء إلا ما رحم ربي. والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء وسيد المرسلين خاتم النبيين سيدنا وحبيب قلوبنا وشفيع ذنوبنا أبي القاسم محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المطهرين المكرمين. السلام عليك سيدي ومولاي يا أبا عبد الله، وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك. عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار، ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. قال الله العظيم في كتابه الكريم وهو أحسن القائلين وأصدق الصادقين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إنما وليكم الله ورسوله والذين آمنوا الذين يقيمون الصلاة ويؤتون الزكاة وهم راكعون. آمنا بالله صدق الله العلي العظيم. For the purification of the souls, the enlightenment of the hearts, for the acceptance of our deeds, and for the hastening of the reappearance of the awaited Savior, Ajralallahu ta'ala farajahu sharif. Enlighten your souls and the atmosphere with the recitation of salawat upon Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Respected elders, sisters and brothers in Islam, Salamun alaykum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. This is a name that is beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. A name that was given to 4 of the Imams of the Ahl al-Bayt and was usually called upon by none other than the Holy Prophet of Islam. And it's a name that is tremendously powerful, beautifully enlightening, and a great inspiration for anyone who understands what it stands for. Ali, and what a name. Indeed, when you and I come to utter this wonderful name in relation to the commander of the faithful, Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ali ibn Abi Talib, salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi. There is a rush of excitement, a great sense of hope. There is a wonderful feeling of attachment, one that is full of positivity, one that indeed connects us to the ultimate form of salvation and prosperity. The name Ali means much to you and I, and it is indeed special to those who unraveled its secrets. No doubt, this name has been recognized throughout history to mean so much. Many people would be able to relate to this name in their own way. I remember that this particular famous Lebanese non-Muslim historian by the name of Paulus Salama comes forward and recites these lines of poetry describing what the name Ali means to him. He says in Arabic, جلجل الحق في المسيحي حتى عد من فرط حبه علويا. The truth has emerged before the Christian one To the extent that today many consider him to be a follower of Ali. إن لم يكن علي نبيا فلقد كان خلقه نبويا. If Ali was not a prophet, then I testify that his akhlaq was that of prophets. فيا سماء اشهدي ويا أرض قري واخشعي إنني ذكرت عليا. O heavens, bear witness. O earth, tremble and pay respect in awe. I've mentioned the name of Ali. This is one indication that we have. May Allah bless the soul of this great poet, Shaheed Sibt Ja'far. He comes forward and recites and indeed writes these wonderful lines of poetry when it comes to the glorious name of Amir al-Mu'mineen. He says, Jab khuda ko pukara Ali aa gayi. Jab Ali aa gayi, zindagi aa gayi. He says what? He says, when the name God is mentioned, immediately we remember Ali. Because when the name Ali is referred to, people think of life. People think of what? People think of prosperity. There is in relation, of course, to the very fact that the name Ali has been mentioned and emphatically emphasized by the Holy Prophet of Islam, Al-Rasul al-A'zam Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. It is not a simple statement when the Prophet says ذِكْرُ عَلِيًّا عِبَادَةً. The mentioning of the name of Ali constitutes worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. زَيِّنُوا مَجَالِسَكُمْ بِذِكْرِ عَلِيِّ ibn Abi Talib. Decorate and indeed fragrance your gatherings with the remembrance of Ali ibn Abi Talib. Because Ali ibn Abi Talib is the champion of Tawheed and monotheism. Ali was born in the house of Allah, was martyred in the house of Allah, and between these two events gave every moment of his existence for the sake of Allah. Therefore, his remembrance gets a human being closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is why this name Ali was given to him by the Almighty subhanahu wa ta'ala. In accordance to numerous narrations, we find that the incident regarding his birth is narrated in so many books of history and tradition. For we come to investigate that there are 22 at least different sources who narrate the following hadith. They say that Fatima bint Asad radwanullahi ta'ala alayha, she came forward and said the following: when I entered the holy house of God, I was about to give birth, and immediately I gave birth to this young boy. Then I heard a voice say to me, Ya Fatima, sammihi Aliya. O Fatima, call him or name him Ali. فهو Ali wallahu al-aliyyul a'la. He is Ali and Allah is known as al-aliyyul a'la, the sublime high. Then the continuous narration says, Inni shafaqtu ismahu min ismi. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, I have derived his name from my name. وَأَدَّبْتَهُ بِأَدَبِي. 22 different books and sources say that the Almighty says that I have trained him from me. وَوَفَّقْتَهُ عَلَى غَامِضِ عِلْمِي. I have trained him to what? To understand and to acquire knowledge from me. فَهُوَ الَّذِي يُكَسِّرُ الْأَصْنَامَ فِي بَيْتِي. It is he who will destroy the idols in my house. وَهُوَ الَّذِي يُؤَذِّنُ فَوْقَ ظَهْرَ بَيْتِي. And it is he who will pronounce the adhan in my house. وَيُفِيدُ سُنَّتِي وَيُمَجِّدُنِي. He is the one who will uplift my way and he will remember me. فَطُوبَى لِمَنْ أَحَبَّهُ وَأَطَاعَهُ. Success is the one who obeys him and loves him. وَوَيْلٌ لِمَنْ عَصَاهُ وَأَبْغَضَهُ. And woe be to the one who disobeys him and dislikes him. This name Ali therefore is special. And when it comes to the illustrious life and the biography of the grandson of the Holy Prophet, Sayyid al-Shuhada, Aba Abdullah al-Hussain salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi. you find there was a special relationship that Imam al-Hussein had with the name Ali. Numerous narrations point to this realization. For example, we are told a Sheikh al-Saduq or a Sheikh al-Kulayni in Al-Kafi, he narrates the following. He says that Muawiyah made Marwan bin al-Hakam as his governor in Medina. Marwan summoned the youth of Medina in order to investigate who's there and to put their names when it comes to what? When it comes to holding them accountable or giving money. So one of the youth that he summoned, he asked him, what is your name? He said, my name is Ali ibn al-Hussein. He said, very well. What is the name of your brother? My brother's name, he said, is called Ali. Marwan looked at him and said, Aliyun wa Ali? You both called Ali? At that moment, he said, why is your father just naming you Ali? When this incident happened, Ali ibn al-Hussein, peace and blessings be upon him, went home. He informed his holy father and told him, this is what the individual Marwan bin al-Hakam had said. Listen to the response of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. Imam said to him, if I was given by Allah 100 sons, I would have named them all Ali. Sheikh al-Kulayni in Al-Kafi. If I was given 100 sons. In another incident, we are told that what? That in the courtyard of La'in Yazid ibn Muawiyah, a similar incident happened whereby the holy Imam, fourth holy Imam was asked, what is your name? He said, yes, my name is Ali. He said, wasn't Ali ibn al-Hussein killed on the plains of Karbala? He said, no, that is a brother of mine that is called Ali. He said, how is it that your father called you all Ali? The response from the fourth holy Imam is, Inna abi ahabba abah. My father loved his father so much, فَسَمَّى بِإِسْمِهِ مِرَارًا. He loved him so much that he named his sons Ali. This is a beautiful realization at the outset of the relationship that existed between the holy third Imam and Amir al-Mu'mineen. And of course, this was much more than just the name Ali. In Amir al-Mu'mineen, Sayyid al-Shuhada saw the epitome of righteousness and the perfect human being. An individual who manifested all the virtues and characteristics from his eloquence to his spirituality, to his justice, to his courage and valor. Sayyid al-Shuhada was indeed inspired by the very personality of his father, the holy Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ali ibn Abi Talib, salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi. Indeed, what do we find? We find that the Imam himself, Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, was the narrator of so many incidents during the lifetime of Amir al-Mu'mineen that highlighted his excellence and status. That today when we speak about, for example, the justice of Amir al-Mu'mineen, we find that non-Muslims have written about this justice. A man, yes, by the name of George Jordak, who is a Christian Lebanese author, and a person who was a master of the Arabic language. He loved the Arabic language. When he was young, he didn't go to school. He used to sit next to a fountain in his village in Lebanon and read Arabic poems until his brother recognized that he has a special talent. He gave him a book. This man, George Jordak, says, I took this book and I became mesmerized by this book. It was a very thick book, but I loved it. And I read it in my life 40 times. I read this book 40 times in my life, to the extent that I was so motivated, I wrote a book detailing the life of the individual whose words are in this book. The book that I read 40 times was Nahjul Balagha, and I wrote a biography of Amir al-Mu'mineen. I called it Ali Sawtul Adalatul Insaniya, Ali, the voice of human justice. Says my father was so inspired when he got this book, he distributed in my village, and the first community that printed it was the Christian village in that particular area of Lebanon. He says, the Christians came to me and said, what a great personality. We would love to know about this personality. He says, my father was a carpenter. I went away to go to university. I came back. The first thing I noticed when I entered the house is that he had a stone. And he had carved beautifully on the stone as we entered the house, لا فتى إلا علي ولا سيف إلا ذو الفقار. There is no youth like Ali. There is no sword like ذو الفقار. The realization that emerges is many of these instances where Amir al-Mu'mineen administered his brilliant justice was observed by his sons, including Sayyid al-Shuhada. Let us recall one. We are told that on one occasion during the Khilafah of the second Khalifa, there was an individual who was taken and indeed was sentenced to what? Was sentenced to lashing because they said he is a liar. What happened? He took a particular lady and testified that she was his mother. But the lady brought her own brothers and said that what? They are witnesses that I don't know this person. I have nothing to do with this individual. I don't know what he's talking about. I'm not his mother. I'm not related to him. He looked at her and says, don't you remember you gave birth to me? Therefore, the second Khalifa said he is a liar because there are what? Witnesses that have testified against him. Take him and lash him. On the way, he found the very man that you wish to see in order to get adala and justice. He saw Amir al-Mu'mineen. He said, Ya Ali, please, I'm looking for your justice. Imam said, what is it that you wish to do? He said, this is my story. Imam said, come with me. When he took him back to the majlis or the gathering where the second Khalifa was sitting, the second Khalifa looked and said, how is he that he's back? They said, he's back with Ali. He looked at Amir al-Mu'mineen and said, Ya Ali, what is the issue? He said, do you agree or do you allow me to rule on this case? He said, of course, go ahead, rule. He summoned the four brothers of this lady who said, I have nothing to do with this man. He summoned them and said, do you testify once again that you are what? That this particular lady is not the mother of this man? They said, we testify. He said, very well. He looked at Qambar. He said, Qambar, go get me some money. They went and brought some money. He came forward and said, I am using this money to marry this man. He's claiming that this is his mother. With this lady, I'm marrying them off now. At that moment, the way the lady screamed in agony and said, no, Ya Ali, he is my son. How can you marry me to my son? He said to her, how is it that you lie? She said, my brothers coerced me. My brothers pushed me towards this. Yes. At that moment, the famous sentence was mentioned. Yes. The sentence that is sometimes uttered lightly, but it means so much. The second Khalifa said, Lawla Ali lahalaka Umar. If it wasn't for Ali, Umar would have perished. Yes. This is one of many examples that Sayyid al-Shuhada recognized with regards to the brilliant adala and the justice of Amir al-Mu'mineen. That is why his emphasis was upon keeping the name of Amir al-Mu'mineen. And one of the ways that he did so, in addition to speaking about greatness and fada'il and reminding many people about his superiority, was to name his sons Ali. That is because, of course, Muawiyah bin Abi Sufyan decided to instigate the cursing of the name of Amir al-Mu'mineen from the pulpits. Yes, despite this cursing and despite the hatred and the animosity, Sayyid al-Shuhada remained firm. And this is a very important lesson for you and I. Sometimes when the going gets tough, or society turns against us, or there is pressure to conform, we are encouraged to remain steadfast and strong and not to necessarily give in. Yes, Quran tells us an instance. Quran tells us, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, O you who believe, ما لكم إذا قيل لكم انفروا في سبيل الله اثاقلتم إلى الأرض. Why is it when Allah tells you to fight for the sake of God, you become lazy and you attach yourself to dunya? أرضيتم بالحياة الدنيا من الآخرة. Are you satisfied with this world at the expense of your akhirah? فما متاع الحياة الدنيا إلا قليل. Your dunya will be only a few years. Quran tells us when the pressure is against hijab, adhere to the hijab. When the pressure is against identity and introducing yourself as the Shia of Ali, introduce yourself as the Shia of Ali. When there is pressure against being a Muslim, be proud of being a Muslim. Don't hide behind. Don't necessarily, when your life is not in danger, conceal your faith. Don't say people are looking at me in a different way. Don't be fearful of the reaction of the people. Be fearful of the consequences of your actions in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and therefore remain strong and steadfast. When we examine the relationship of Amir al-Mu'mineen with Sayyid al-Shuhada Abu Abdullah, one important realization emerges, and that is how a father should be treating his son. A brilliant example of the father-son relationship is between whom the commander of the faithful and the Imams alayhim salam. This relationship is critical in a modern world that we live in. This relationship is one that the Quran speaks about. This relationship is one where the Quran says that such prophets like Prophet Ibrahim, Prophet Yaqub, people like Luqman emphasized upon. Quran says the conversations that took place between, for example, Ibrahim and his son Ismail, between Yaqub and his sons, between Luqman and his sons, highlight a key feature of tarbiyah. Many times when we come to speak about upbringing, we talk about what? We talk about women and the role of mothers, but the Quran focuses on fathers. It talks about these particular conversations that indeed took place. Fatherhood and the responsibility that fathers have is great in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One that many people unfortunately have only confided and restricted to material aspects. Oh, the father is responsible to ensure there is food on the table. Or the father is responsible for ensuring there is education. No doubt, these are very critical. That's why I remember one of the fathers who is a farmer said to his son, I'm going to send you to school and to college and university, and I'm going to put all my savings for this. The son was not somebody who wanted to study. He said to his father, I'm not interested to study. He says, why? He says, we are in need. We are here in the farm. We don't have, for example, a donkey. Use this money to buy a donkey instead. The father looked at him and says, if I use this money to buy a donkey, I'm afraid something will happen. He says, what? He says, I'll end up with 2 donkeys. In the idea that parents, especially the father, have a responsibility when it comes to education, when it comes to keeping their family correct or upright in this particular process. However, the spiritual strength as well as the Islamic education and being a role model is of great importance. That's why when you look at the life of the Holy Imam, you recognize that he saw much when it comes to his father. But especially during the years of the Khilafah of Amir al-Mu'mineen. And there are a number of beautiful lessons that can be derived when we study the biography of Sayyid al-Shuhada Abu Abdullah al-Hussain, salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi. This particular relationship was outstanding, and it began the moment Amir al-Mu'mineen assumed this particular position, despite the fact that it was something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had chosen for him, and it was divinely ordained. But eventually, of course, this was something that the people came to recognize. He gave a famous sermon. Amir al-Mu'mineen sat in Medina and gave a very famous sermon to highlight what is it that he is about to do. Listen to the words of the Imam, and then what Imam al-Hasan and Hussain said at the outset, in order for people to recognize the status of the Imam alayhi salam. The narrations tell us that Amir al-Mu'mineen came. He wore the cloak of the Prophet. He took the sword of the Prophet, and he wore the sandals of the Prophet. And he came and sat in front of the people on the pulpit and said to them, O people, saluni qabla an tafqiduni. Ask me before you lose me. Why? This is, then he pointed to his tongue. He says, this is the saliva of Rasulullah. هذا لعاب رسول الله هذا ما زقني رسول الله زقا زقا. This is what the Prophet fed me. He said this famously. This is found in numerous books of history. Listen to what Imam alayhi salam says. Saluni فَإِنَّ عِنْدِي عِلْمَ الْأَوَّلِينَ وَالْآخِرِينَ. Ask me, because I have the knowledge of the people of the past and the people of the future. Ama wallah, by wallah, if the opportunity is given to me, I will rule people of the Torah using the Torah. And I will rule people of the Injil, the Bible, using the Injil. And I will rule the people of the Quran by the Quran. وأنتم تتلون القرآن ليلا ونهارا فهل فيكم أحد يعلم ما نزل به. You read the Quran morning and night. Is there anyone amongst you who has as much knowledge as the Quran as I do? Then he says a very powerful sentence. He says, وَلَوْلَا آيَةٌ فِي كِتَابِ اللَّهِ لَأَخْبَرْتُكُمْ بِمَا كَانَ وَبِمَا يَكُونَ. If it wasn't for one verse in the Quran, I would have told you about what will happen until the day of Qiyamah. This verse is يَمْحُ اللَّهُ مَا يَشَاءُ وَيُثْبِتُ وَعِنْدَهُ أُمُّ الْكِتَابِ. Allah erases whatever He wishes and affirms whatever He wishes, and He has Ummul Kitab. A number of individuals rose to ask Him questions during the sermon. An individual rose and said, I will make him embarrassed. He looked at others, he says, I'm going to embarrass Ali on the first day where he has given the sermon. He looked up to Amir al-Mu'mineen and said, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, hal ra'ayta rabbuk? Have you seen your Lord? Amir al-Mu'mineen looks at him and says, how can I worship a Lord that I do not see? Oh, I was surprised. Then the Imam says, Waylak. Because the man said, what? You've seen him? Sifhu lana. Explain to us. How does he look like? Imam said, woe be to you. لم تره العيون بمشاهدة الأبصار ولكن رأته القلوب بحقائق الإيمان. Woe be to you. The eyes cannot comprehend the Lord, but the heart with the Iman can understand Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This haqa'iqul iman. Then he gave a brilliant description. This particular sermon, yes, is something that you and I need to go back and read and equip ourselves with. Then an individual who is fairly elderly, who people had not noticed, had not seen before, rose and said to Amir al-Mu'mineen, he said, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, tell me something. If I do a particular deed, I will be victorious. Teach me. What shall I do? Yes. Amir al-Mu'mineen says, Isma. Listen. Yes. قامت الدنيا بثلاث. This world, this dunya is established by three areas. عالم ناطق, a knowledgeable scholar who disseminates his knowledge. وغني لا يبخل بماله, and a person who is rich, who is not miserly. وفقير صابر, and a person who is destitute and poor and is patient. So these three, as long as they're there, this dunya will remain. Then the Imam continues and says, when the knowledgeable scholar does not give his knowledge, and the wealthy does not give his money, and the poor is no longer patient, that is the moment you know Iman has turned to kufr. Then he continues. He says people are of three kinds. There is a zahid, there is a raghib, there is a sabir. These are all wonderful descriptions that the Imam alayhi salam gives towards the people. The details of the sermon is too long. But when he finishes the answer, people look, they see that man is not there. Imam smiles and says, this is khidr that has just gone. Yes. This is khidr. Yes. Now that's why. And on this note, we are told in Medina, there was a lady who was blind. She was distributing water home to the people in Medina. All of a sudden, a man came to speak to her and said to her, what is your inspiration in giving water to people? She said, my love, my life, everything in my existence is in the remembrance of Ali. He said, do you really love him? She said, Wallah, I do, yes. He then raised his hands and says, Ya Allah, if she truly loves Ali, restore the eyesight for her. She says, as soon as he did this, I was able to see. I was blind. Now I was able to see. I looked at him and says, oh man, who are you that Allah answers your dua? He says, I am Abdul Salih Khidr. I am one of the Shia of Ali ibn Abi Talib. Allahumma salli ala. Thereafter what happens? He instructs, after his sermon completes, he instructs Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam, and he says, rise and speak and remind people about what? About the fact that you are excellent, yes, in your status, and whatever you wish to say. So Imam alayhi salam comes forward, the second holy Imam, and says, have you not heard, O people, after beginning with the praise of Allah and sending the choices of salutations of the Holy Prophet, and then he says, O people, have you not heard the statement of the Messenger of Allah that says, Ana Madinatul Ilmi wa Aliyun Babuha, that I am the city of knowledge and Ali is its gate? Then the Imam asks a question, have you seen people enter a city not through the gate? How can you enter a city not through the gate? Today we have narrations to say that I am the city of knowledge and so is a window. So is the window of the city. Yes. I tell you, if you enter a city or a house through a window, are you a robber or what? Are you a thief or what? Anyway, now when it comes to this idea, what do we find? We find Imam alayhi salam highlights this. Imam al-Hussain thereafter speaks. Amir al-Mu'mineen said to him, now it is your turn. Now you have to speak. Imam al-Hussain also did the same, began with praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and so on. Then he says, Ma'ashirun nas, sami'tu Rasulallah. I heard the Messenger of God say, Inna Aliyan Madinatu Huda. Ali is the city of guidance. فَمَنْ دَخَلَهَا نَجَى. Anyone enters the city is saved. وَمَنْ تَخَلَّفَ عَنْهَا هَلَكَ. Anyone who does not enter it has indeed perished and has no success. Imam alayhi salam therefore is what? Is encouraging at the outset. Thereafter, after his son spoke, he spoke of their greatness. He spoke of the fact that Imam al-Hasan and Hussain alayhim salam are what? Are the Hasanan, and that they are the sons of the Prophet of Islam. That's why later when Amir al-Mu'mineen wrote a letter to Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan, he wrote a letter and in it he praised Imam al-Hasan and Hussain. He loved them so much and he was so proud of them that he would utter and remind people about who they are. In this letter, what do we find? We find that he said to this wretched individual, he said to him, Min Abdillah wa ibn Abdih Ali ibn Abi Talib, from the servant of God and the son of the servant of God, Ali ibn Abi Talib. Akhi Rasulullah, I am the brother of the Prophet. وَابْنُ عَمِّهِ, and his cousin. وَوَصِيِّهِ, and the one who is his successor. وَمُغْتَسَلِهِ, and the one who washed his body. وَمُكَفَّنِهِ, the one who shrouded him. وَقَاضِيُ دِينِهِ, and the jurist of his religion. وَزَوْجُ إِبْنَتِهِ الرَّسُولِ, and I am the husband of his daughter, the Batul. وَأَبِي صِبْطَيْهِ الْحَسَنِ وَالْحُسَيْنِ, and I am the father of his sons, Hassan and Hussein. إِلَى, to Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan. Then he says, أَمَّا بَعْدْ, listen, فَقَدْ أَفْنَيْتَ قَوْمَكَ يَوْمَ بَدْرٍ. I want to tell you, Imam says to Muawiyah, I destroyed your people on the day of Badr. وَقَتَلْتُ عَمَّكَ وَخَالَكَ وَجَدَّكَ. I killed your maternal uncle, your paternal uncle, and your grandfather. وَالسَّيْفُ الَّذِي قَتَلْتُهُمْ مَعِي. That sword that I used to kill them is still with me. Imam alayhi salam is reminding Muawiyah, remember Badr. Yes, remember the heroism of Amir al-Mu'mineen in that particular place. That's why we find that this particular relationship was something that was outstanding. And indeed, it manifested in a number of levels. Let's quickly look at how did it manifest, the relationship between the father and the son throughout the years of the Khilafah of Amir al-Mu'mineen. The first instance is through the battles that the Holy Imam, as well as his brother, the Holy Second Imam, took part in the battles of both Jamal, Siffin, and Nahrawan. And there are some very interesting historical accounts regarding what happened in those particular battles. For example, in the Battle of Jamal, Imam alayhi salam faced what is known as Nakithin, those who did not give the bay'ah or broke their bay'ah, rather. People like Talha and Zubayr and Aisha, the wife of the Prophet. And the Imam alayhi salam was full of hope that they would not engage in war, that he would send them so many invitations not to rise and cause this fitna. Yet they were determined. They wanted to fight Amir al-Mu'mineen. Why? Because they said to him, how can you treat us the way you treat others? Talha and Zubayr came to him and said, you have to give us more than you give others. Imam alayhi salam came forward and said, I do not see anywhere in the Quran or in the Sunnah of the Holy Prophet whereby I am told that I must treat some people better than others. Imam said to them, tell me where. Imam was the epitome of justice and at the same time the one who stood against racism and bigotry. Imam alayhi salam is a wonderful example. If somebody is looking to do a project or a paper or write a book or a conference, they can examine in today's world, we have presidents, and you all know who I'm talking about. Presidents of countries, big countries, who are clearly racist in the way they speak, in the way they tweet, everything about them. Yes. We have people who are being discriminated against, people separated from their children in borders, people who are being, nations who are being killed, people who are being caged and put in concentration camps just because they are Muslim, and so on and so forth. Today, one of the great examples we can learn in history is how the Ahl al-Bayt alayhim as-salam, especially Amir al-Mu'mineen, as well as all the rest of the Ahl al-Bayt, stood up against such racism. I tell you, when Abu Abdullah would see such actions, now you can understand why on the 10th of Muharram, he came and placed his cheeks on the cheek of John, who is the black slave. And he did the same when it came to Ali al-Akbar. To say, you know what? When I deal with these individuals, I am dealing with equity. I am dealing with righteousness. I am dealing with haqq. Because the narration of the Prophet says, Aliyun ma'al haqq wal haqqu ma'ali. Ali is with the truth and the truth is with Ali. But the second part of the hadith is more important than the first. Why? Because the hadith says, وَإِنَّهُ إِنَّهُمَا يَدُورُ حَوْلَهُ. This particular idea is established that truth revolves around Ali ibn Abi Talib. Truth looks for Ali ibn Abi Talib, not the other way around. That is why this idea was established, isn't it? That the Imams alayhim salam recognized this righteous act and this righteous processes that were taking place. Now look at this particular battle. When eventually it did happen, we are told that Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam was put in charge of the right side of the army, and Imam al-Hussain on the left side of the army, and in the middle was Amir al-Mu'mineen. Can you imagine confronting the Lion of Allah surrounded by Sayyida Shababi Ahl al-Jannah in a battlefield? Yes. They showed incredible bravery on the battlefield when it comes to Jamal. When it comes to the Battle of Siffin, a number of very interesting incidents happen. The Battle of Siffin, of course, was against Muawiyah and the army of Muawiyah. In this particular battle, Imam alayhi salam wanted to preserve his two sons. Why? Historical records tell us that he said, I have to preserve them. Why? He probably received information that there were people determined to kill them. There were people who would plot to assassinate and finish off the two sons of the Holy Prophet. That is why a number of things happened which the munafiqeen utilized for their purpose. What was they? One of them was that he had a son by the name of Muhammad ibn Hanafiya, Ridwanullahi ta'ala alayhi. Muhammad ibn Hanafiya was from another wife of Amir al-Mu'mineen. And so he emerged. When he emerged, the Imam told him, go and fight. The munafiqeen afterwards said to him, O Muhammad, you are being put at the forefront of the battle, whereas Hassan and Hussein are behind. Why is that? Your father wants you killed, at the expense of Hassan and Hussein? Muhammad ibn Hanafiya answers brilliantly. He says, I am like what? I am like the hands, and Hassan and Hussein are like the eyes, and it is the responsibility of the hands to protect the eyes. Somebody else asked him the same question. He said, why is it that you're there at the battlefield ahead of the Hassanan? He said, I am the son of Ali, and Hassan and Hussein are the sons of Muhammad, and it is the responsibility of the son of Ali to protect the sons of Muhammad. And that's why you find that one of the interesting incidents that happened in the Battle of Siffin was that there was a man by the name of Ubaydullah ibn Umar. He was in the army of Muawiyah. He emerged one night. He came to the campsite of Amir al-Mu'mineen and he called out, Ayna Hussain ibn Ali? Where is Hussain ibn Ali? This is found in the book known as Futuh. Imam alayhi salam emerged and says, what do you want? He said, oh Hussein, your father is in deep trouble. Your father is what? Has been targeted and is accused of killing Uthman ibn Affan. So, therefore, I invite you to join us and we will make you the Khalifa of the Muslims. Come to our side. Imam alayhi salam immediately became enraged with anger and looked at him and says, what? Wayhak. Woe be to you. You are the shaitan. You have come to what? To implement the acts of shaitan. I pray that you are finished and that you are disgraced. And he went away. Now that moment, Ubaydullah ibn Umar smiled. He laughed. He went back to Muawiyah. He said, oh Muawiyah, I tried to trick Hussein, but I couldn't. Muawiyah said to him, there is no way that you can ever deceive the son of Ali. There's no way. This is the son of Ali ibn Abi Talib. What are you talking about? Yes? Come to Karbala and see how this process or this moment reflected when it comes to Abu al-Fadl Abbas. When Shimr ibn al-Jawshan came and said that I give you immunity, that honorable individual Abu al-Fadl Abbas would say to him, لَعَنَكَ اللَّهُ وَلَعَنَ أَمَانَتَكَ. May Allah curse you and curse your immunity. You give me immunity, and the son of Ali and Fatima has no immunity. Therefore, you recognize that this was another moment. A third incident was of great interest. When Amir al-Mu'mineen's army reached Siffin, they had no water. They were not able to quench their thirst. That the army of Muawiyah was in control of the water, isn't it? Narrations tell us that the Imam alayhi salam, what did he do? He instructed his sons Hassan and Hussein, as well as a number of others in his army, to go and free that area and take control of the water. And they did. And you all know, of course, that at that moment, when they freed the water, some of the companions of the Imam came forward and said to Amir al-Mu'mineen, how is it that now we have the water? So what should we do? Imam said, feed them, give them water, even feed their animals. But amongst those who were in the particular group who went and captured the water, according to narrations, was Amir al-Mu'mineen, was Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. Imam al-Hussein, when he returned, one narration says that the holy Imam, Amir al-Mu'mineen, cried. When they asked him, Ya Ali, why do you cry? He says, this son of mine will be slaughtered thirsty on the plains of Karbala. Without any water, he is now feeding the people and feeding his enemies water. But they will deprive him of water. Yes. Imam alayhi salam would speak in such a manner. Similarly, what do we find? We find another wonderful example in the life of the Imam, Amir al-Mu'mineen, with his son, is with regards to the du'as that the Imam taught Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. Please pay attention. There are 3 du'as that you need to understand that have relationship between Amir al-Mu'mineen and Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. The first du'a is what? The first du'a is a du'a known as du'a al-asharat. This du'a is one that Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ali ibn Abi Talib, salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi, This is a narration from the Holy Sixth Imam, from Muawiyah ibn Abu Hab, who said that Amir al-Mu'mineen said to Imam al-Hussain, "Oh my son, I'm going to teach you and tell you about a dua that you must not disclose except to our Shia and our followers and lovers. And this dua has so many benefits." And the Imam explains the great reward of reciting this dua. He says, Allah will build for you in Darus Salam in Jannah 100,000 palaces. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make you die as a martyr. And you will be resurrected as somebody who is always happy. And that you will not be afflicted with poverty or insanity or much distress due to calamities. Imam alayhi salam said, "What is this particular dua?" And thereafter the dua was taught to Imam al-Hussain. This is a beautiful dua. We are told, recite this dua either after Fajr or after what? In the evening, or specially recommended after Salatul Asr on the day of Friday, known as Du'a'ul Asharat. Wonderful dua that indeed is full of the remembrance and the dhikr of the Almighty subhanahu wa ta'ala. Coming from whom? From the mouth of a man whom one day, according to Allama Majlisi, listen to this hadith, one day asked a Baba, somebody, to trim his mustache. This man came and began to trim, but he couldn't. He said to Ali, he said, "Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, can you please stop moving your lips just for a few moments so that I can trim?" Yes. Because Amir al-Mu'mineen was in the dhikr of Allah. Imam looks at him and says, "You do your job and I do mine. Don't tell me to stop dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala." This was whom? This was Amir al-Mu'mineen. And this was what? The first dua. The second dua, Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam says, was one day I was next to the Holy Kaaba. I was worshipping Allah. I heard someone cry profusely, someone who is in agony, someone who is in distress. I came, eventually I found him. I saw an individual who was indeed reciting lines of poetry that were begging Allah for forgiveness. I said to him, "Oh man, come, let me take you to my father, Ali." Imam al-Hussain says, I took him and we came to Amir al-Mu'mineen. When Amir al-Mu'mineen saw him, he said, "Oh man, what is your story?" He says, "Ya Ali, I am a sinner who has disobeyed Allah." Imam alayhi salam said, "In which way?" He said, "I have a righteous father, but I am the one who wastes my life and who indeed engages in all kinds of activities which are forbidden. And one day I came to take some money that belonged to my father and he objected. So I pushed him and I hit him. And when I hit him, I took the money. Thereafter, my father began to what? To ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to pray against me. And he came to the Kaaba and he prayed against me. And the moment he prayed against me, I was half paralyzed. And I begged him for forgiveness. And my father said, "Very well, I will pray for you." But on the journey to come back to the Kaaba so that he will pray for me, he fell and he died from his camel. And now, this is my state. Imam said, "I will teach you a dua which has Ismullah al-A'zam, has the great name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala." Imam al-Hussain in the narration says, "I was so excited to receive this dua as well." From my father Amir al-Mu'mineen. This dua is known as what? These are gems, these are treasures, these are wonderful tools for you and I. The Ahl al-Bayt have given us these duas. Sometimes we leave them what? On the shelf. These duas are wonderful keys to success in our lives. This dua is known as Dua al-Mashlul. Dua al-Mashlul. And one of the narrators is Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam. And the third dua that Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen gave to his father, to his son Imam al-Hussain is what? Is a dua known as Dua Jawshan al-Kabir. Imam al-Hussain says that my father said to me, "Let me tell you this, that on one occasion the Holy Messenger of God said to me that on the day of Sunday in the battle of Uhud, I was wearing something known as Jawshan. Jawshan means a body armor. And this body armor was very heavy. And Jibreel descended and said, 'Ya Rasulullah, recite the following dua and remove your jawshan, because this dua will give you protection.' This is dua جوشا الكبير. Imam al-Hussein said, my father told me, write it on your kafan. I say to him, where was the kafan of Aba Abdullah? These were what? These were some of the examples in which Amir al-Mu'mineen would give what? These wonderful du'as to his son Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. And indeed this made a mark on Imam al-Hussein. Look at the du'as of the Imam alayhi salam, such as Du'a Arafah, for example. Wonderful du'a, full of values, full of brilliant remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. His du'as on the plains of Karbala are something for us to study and indeed learn from. Likewise, Imam alayhi salam would come forward and say that my father was fond of ensuring that we had a close relationship with the Holy Quran. Listen to this narration from the Holy Imam Sayyid al-Shuhada Aba Abdullah al-Hussein salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi. The narration states that my father would come forward. This is in Tafsir al-Burhan from Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam, and says, قرأ علي بن أبي طالب إنا أنزلناه في ليلة القدر. That Amir al-Mu'mineen recited إنا أنزلناه في ليلة القدر. وعنده الحسن والحسين. And with him were Hassan and Hussein. فقال له الحسين. Hussein said to him, يا أبتاه كأن بها من فيك حلاوة. Oh father, when you recite إنا أنزلناه, I feel much sweetness. There's something special about it when you recite إنا أنزلناه. Then the Imam explains why there is that elixir associated with Surah إنا أنزلناه. Imam says, عن الرسول هذه السورة لك من بعدي. Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen says that because the Prophet says this surah إنا أنزلناه is for you after me. وَلِوِلْدِكَ مِن بَعْدِكَ, and it is for your sons after you. لَهَا نُورٌ سَاطِعٌ فِي قَلْبِكَ, it has light that is radiant in your heart. وَقُلُوبُ أَوْصِيَائِكَ إِلَى مَطْلَعِ فَجْرِ الْقَائِمِ, that this light will continue until the awaited reappears and will fill the earth with this light. That's why this emphasis of the Quran is something that fathers should pay attention to without a shadow of a doubt when it comes to their sons and daughters. The idea that the Ahl al-Bayt paid so much attention to the Quran must bring forth the important question, and that is, if we are true Husainis, are we true Quranis? Meaning what? Meaning, have we facilitated the learning of the Quran for our youngsters? Meaning what? Meaning that many a times we are more concerned with our children memorizing the Quran than understanding the Quran. Memorization is key. Recitation is essential. Correct recitation is very much needed. But at the same time, today, what the world requires, what people are thirsty for, is knowledge of the Quran presented in such a manner that the youth of today are able to understand it. For example, the utilization of technology. For example, the podcasts and the short videos and so on and so forth, and the apps that are key today to be able to present the beautiful message of the Quran. That our fathers should dedicate at least some time when it comes to the teaching of the Quran and the understanding of the Quran, because many a times we leave it to the madrasa, many a times we leave it to the mothers only, and I'm sure the mothers do a brilliant job, but the fathers are also great role models. If you want your son to be close to the Quran, you and I as fathers must be close to the Quran as well and pay much attention to it, isn't it? That's why you recognize that when it comes to the Imam alayhi salam, these ideas were very much found and these were characterized in his holy life. Much can be said about the relationship of the Imam alayhi salam with his holy father. Just one more point with regards to his special will to Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. You see, he had a will for Imam al-Hasan and Hussein. أوصيكما بتقوى الله. But there was another will which the Imam alayhi salam gave specifically to Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. And this is a beautiful will and something that you and I need to reflect upon. This will, it is said that he said to his son, Ya bunay, awsika bi taqwallah. That always these wills start with the recommendation to have taqwa of the Almighty subhanahu wa ta'ala. But then he goes on to say, oh my son, be careful. And of course, this is a message for you and I, not for the Ma'soom Imam. The Imam is teaching his followers. It says, oh my son, be careful. Be more busy with your shortcomings than looking at the shortcomings of people. And be satisfied with what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you. You will attain contentment. And at the same time, if you dig a hole for your brother to fall into, in other words, you conspire against your mu'mineen, mu'minat, you will fall into it before he falls into it. These are some of the things that the Imam alayhi salam would leave for Abu Abdullah al-Hussain as far as his wasiyah is concerned. But one final key important area regarding the relationship between Ali ibn Abi Talib and Sayyid al-Shuhada was how many occasions Imam al-Amir al-Mu'mineen would speak about the 10th of Muharram and the land of Karbala. Narrations tell us that on the way back from Siffin, what do we find? We find Amir al-Mu'mineen reaches this land, the land of Karbala. He takes some soil from it. He smells it. And he says, oh soil, I can see people buried in you who will be resurrected on the day of Qiyamah without accountability. A man by the name of Haytham, who was with Amir al-Mu'mineen in Siffin and saw him do this, later was part of the army of Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad. When he came to Karbala, he said to Imam al-Hussain, Ya ibn Rasulullah, I remember seeing your father Ali lift the soil of Karbala and say such and such. Imam said, so are you with us then? He said, Ya ibn Rasulullah, I have my family and I am afraid that they will be hurt. I am neither for you nor am I against you. Imam said, then run away, because anyone who hears our cry and does not support us will be condemned in Jahannam. Run away. Haytham said, I ran away. Immediately I ran away when I heard Imam al-Hussain say this. Another narration says that when Imam alayhi salam reached Karbala, he later told Ibn Abbas that when he reached Karbala, he went around, he walked around. And then he performed wudu. And then he recited salah. Then he fell asleep. Where? In Karbala. When he fell asleep, he said that I saw people wearing white, carrying swords, walking on this land. All of a sudden, I saw them going towards an area which was like a lake or a river, but the river was red in color. It was full of blood, and I saw my son Hussain in it. I saw my son Hussain in this place where there is what? That it is that he is seeking help. فَيَسْتَغَاث. He was calling for help, but nobody was helping him. This is where Imam alayhi salam would describe and tell people about Karbala and what would happen to Imam al-Hussain. That's why we are told, when you remember this personality as a great father, Amir al-Mu'mineen, you recognize that this love of Ali and this brilliant fatherhood of Ali extended to all of his children, especially to his child and to his beloved daughter Zainab. See, when you remember the relationship of Sayyida Zainab with Amir al-Mu'mineen, you recall that the name Zainab means the ornament of her father, Zainu Abiha. And Zainab was someone that Amir al-Mu'mineen wanted continuously to be comfortable, did not want her to be in distress. From the moment that he was next to the grave of Zahra, weeping and crying, and he fell asleep and he saw his beloved Fatima, who said to him, Ya Ali, please rush back home because my daughter Zainab is now awake. He rushes back because Zainab has awoken. Yes. And from that moment, his main concern was looking after his beloved daughter Zainab. I say to him, Ya Ali. And you know, we are told when Amir al-Mu'mineen was struck, when he was being brought to the house, he says to Imam al-Hasan and Hussain, allow me to walk. I don't want Zainab to see me in this state. I ask him, Ya Ali, you don't want Zainab's heart to be broken. Come to Karbala and see what Zainab had to see. Yes. What Zainab had to witness. Because she cried for Ali al-Akbar. She wept for Qasim. She cried for Abbas. She cried for Ali al-Asghar. But there were two people she never shed a tear for. There were two youngsters she refused to cry and shed tears for. Yes. They were Awn and Muhammad. Awn and Muhammad, they were the sons of Ja'far al-Tayyar. They were the sons of Abdullah ibn Ja'far al-Tayyar. Ja'far was their grandfather from one side. Ali ibn Abi Talib was their grandfather from the other side. They were brave warriors. They wanted to fight. They were anticipating. They were ready. They got prepared. Zainab sent them to Hussain. When they came to Abu Abdullah, they said, my uncle Hussain, allow us to defend you. Allow us to sacrifice our lives for you. Allow us to be proud, to be shaheed. Imam al-Hussain says, you are the apple of my eyes. How can I let you go to the battlefield? Go back. They go back to their mother. It is as if the poet says, Zainab comes out. She looks at Abu Abdullah. She says, oh Hussain, let me be proud, so I give my sons for you. Let me sacrifice my Awn and Muhammad for you. Abu Abdullah allows them to go. We do not have any narration that says Awn and Muhammad sought farewell from Zainab. Why? Oh, Awn and Muhammad, why didn't you go back and say your farewells to your mother Zainab? They were so eager for shahada. They were so eager for sacrifice. They went to the battlefield, one protecting the other, one next to the other, one fighting so courageously, the other defending each other. They would look back, they would scream out, oh Uncle Hussain, are you proud of us? Oh Uncle Hussain, have we fulfilled our promise? When they were both struck, Awn and Muhammad fall onto the ground. The narrations tell us that Imam al-Hussain came forward. When he came forward, he sat next to Awn and Muhammad's bodies. He looked at them. There was a little bit of life still remained in one of them. He looked at him and Imam said to him, oh my son Awn, oh my son Muhammad. At that moment, do you know what they said to Imam al-Hussain? They said, please convey our salam to our mother Zainab. And tell her one thing, we never drank any water. We never had any water. We are thirsty. Send our salam to Zainab. Zainab never cried. She saw the bodies. A mother should never look at the bodies of her children mutilated. In this way, Zainab did not cry. She remained strong. She never shed a tear in Karbala for Awn and Muhammad. She never cried in Kufa for Awn and Muhammad. She never cried in Damascus for Awn and Muhammad. When she returned to Medina, when she entered the house, she looked at the room of Awn and Muhammad. She fell on the ground. Oh, Muhammad, I couldn't cry for you. Oh Awnan Muhammad, who is it that will take up your room? Oh Awnan Muhammad, you have left such a gap in my life. Perhaps the poet says, Zainab says, oh Awnan Muhammad, I cry for you and I cry for you now and I cry for you, but I also cry for the children of Hussain that were left in Sham. Oh Awnan Muhammad, you are not only the sons that were killed. I cry for that 3-4-year-old daughter of Hussein. I cried for her in the chambers, in the dungeons, the sakina of Hussein, the trust that I left in Sham. ألا لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون والعاقبة للمتقين وإنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to raise us with shuhada'i Karbala, including the honorable sons of Lady Zainab, Awnan Muhammad. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow us to live in the footsteps of Amir al-Mu'mineen and to gain his shafa'ah on the day of Qiyamah. Ya Allah, allow us to visit the shrine of Amir al-Mu'mineen in dunya and to attain the tawfiq to die in the state of the love of Ali ibn Abi Talib. Those of us who have gathered here, who have hajat, who have needs, Ya Allah, fulfill their hajat. Those who are ill and require dua, Ya Allah, grant them shifa. By the holy names of Awnan Muhammad and Shuhada'i Karbala, hasten their appearance of the Imam and make us of the devout and sincere followers. Wa akhiru da'wana and alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Ya Hussain.